after the lesson with the how to use the devices and how to do FabuLingua, the next day would be the students' first opportunity to work freely with FabuLingua. This is that time that I call dedicated FabuLingua time. Let's pull up that scope and sequence and see what that's going to look like. So here's our dedicated FabuLingua time, and this particular chunk of time, they're only working on Rani, Isapi, Mi Familia, magical translations. So after that, they're not going to go ahead. If they finish, which they will and should several times, they will repeat the story. I would have them in groups of 2 to 3, and those would be heterogeneous grouping. If I know anybody that has some Spanish language background, I would have them, of course, you're taking into consideration personal dynamics as well, but I would try to pair students with, those who have very, either no Spanish language or language is something that they struggle with in English. I would pair them with those who are stronger so they can get a partnered situation. They're starting out stronger. They don't feel lost, even if they're not able to manage the things on their own. And what I would do, I've mentioned this in a couple of other videos, is I would have the students signed their groups of 2 or 3, and I would choose one student to start with, and that student would be signed in under their name. And that person is what we'll call the leader. And all the students that are in that little group will still be able to participate. They're still repeating, they're still doing all of the interactive elements, but the leader is the one who decides when it's time to stop those interactive elements and go to the next page, when they need to listen to a word again. And the leader just has a little bit more control. When they finish the story, they sign out of that person's account and then sign in under the next person. And then that person is the leader. The reason I do this is because as, of course, let's say you've got 2 or 3 students working together on this first day, they're all going to have the exact same level of experience on that one day. But as students, progress along, some will progress along more quickly. And as time progresses, I would start to, in most cases, make homogeneous groupings or partnerships so that you have kids who are zooming through some of the stories and some who are taking longer on the intro stories, and that's perfectly fine. There are cases when I would, after a while of that, pair them up, say, hey, you're going to be a helper with this person. And that might help push somebody who feels like they've plateaued in a certain area. So having them be leaders within their partnerships and signing in under their account over time is going to allow me to see how far each person is progressing from the back end of the FabuLingua control panel. So let's go back to the scope and sequence here. And that's why I've got the heterogeneous grouping for this particular one and what the partner signed in as leader means. I've got a device for every 2 students. And at the very end of that, since it's our very first time, I would try to have some time on the back end of it to do a quick, very casual, what did you all think? And hopefully this is feeling enthusiastic. If it's not, I would say these are just fantastic points. Thank you for bringing them up. I would not try to solve them unless it's just a yes or no answer. And I would, table that for our next class meeting or the next FabuLingua lesson that we have. But, just really appreciate their feedback and give gratitude to them. And hopefully there's going to be some celebration of how fun it was and, ask questions like, what did you like best? Or who was your favorite character? What little game was your favorite, etc. So then we would, if you build this time into it, we could do some comprehension questions from the FabuLingua resource guide. And there are printouts for that. They also provide crosswords and word searches. These, you might need a lesson depending on the age of your group. It may or may not be appropriate. You might need a lesson before you introduce those, but if not, I would have those available so that if you have any situation where a kiddo is not working out in their partnership and it's not easy to just popcorn them over to a different partnership, they could pull those out and start working with them. So I would have all those available, and let's look one last time here. So that's our dedicated FabuLingua time. Now, the next time you see the dedicated FabuLingua on the video list, which is a little bit further down on here, it's going to be the exact same situation. So I won't make a video for each dedicated FabuLingua time, since what it means is you're giving the kids the devices and having them work. So good luck with that. I hope that, that's really the heart of FabuLingua, and I hope it's just very successful.